And welcome to another episode. Oh, fuck. I would say welcome to another episode of the Poproast podcast. I've arisen from my slumber to find some real fucking horror going on this very show tonight. I don't know what that is. I don't want to talk to it. Do you want to talk to it? Listen. I know how much of what just transpired you viewers here will be witness to, but needless to say, we are in the fucking middle. We're in the heat. We're in the depths of spooky season, and everything is going to shit. Hopefully not this show, and hopefully not my co-host. How you doing, George?
Fucking great. That good.
We love the spooky shit and the fucking movies so much that we are dying on screen for your enjoyment, everyone.
Pretty much.
Man said, let me get my lem zip. So, I'm sorry if any of the Necromore fans are listening. They're just going to shatter the illusion of the fucking, the gnarly-ass rock star. We're just going to deconstruct the fallacy of the ego here, and we're just going to get real with you. Real.
Just about as many fans as this podcast.
I mean, I would take that Pepsi challenge any day. I reckon. I mean, I wouldn't, but you should. You should be willing to take the Pepsi challenge because I reckon you do all right. Like, if we rocked up with a couple of microphones to a fucking, a small bar, venue, restaurant, whatever. Is anyone going to make it there, or did they all just die of whatever it is that you've got? You know what I mean? So we'll see. We'll see. Maybe we'll do a live show one day. We definitely want to do a live stream at some point.
Oh, yeah.
So keep your eyes peeled for that. Either way, click those notifications, get that bell, get that subscribe, get that like, and then if and when we do go live, you'll be the first one to know about it. Shall we get into some news stories? Because we got an eclectic little bunch of things.
We have indeed. To make up for the complete lack of news last week, where
no news none last week. I think maybe not really any the week before. It's been slowing down. Obviously, there are still strikes going on. Pay the actors. It's just the actors now. Not the writers. But pay those actors, give them the deals that they want, give them what they are entitled to, what they deserve, what they earned. Just a quick side note, well, not side note, but just to follow on from that, because I feel like a lot of people felt like, oh, well, the writers' strike is done. The actors won't be too far behind. Like, it's all falling back into place now. Oh, to quote the Kooks, you are so naive, everybody. Like, because you can pay residuals and, more residuals and more and give more benefits and perks to writers when you've only got like 3 or 4 writers on a project. But when you're talking about actors, man, that's a different kettle of fish entirely. You don't want to be giving like all those increased residuals and royalties when you've got like 50, 60, 70 plus actors in every fucking thing that you do. So I don't know. I feel like that one could be riding out for a little while. So we'll see. Hopefully they get it done though. Moving on. Pay them.
Pay them the money.
Yes. And so anything else they're asking for. We're going to start off with some bad news. I mean, other than that, bad news. But this is worse news. Keith Giffen, long stay comic book creator who responsible for creating some pretty important and pretty relevant characters in the for both Marvel and DC. He co-created Lobo. He co-created Rocket Raccoon. He also was part of the team that did the renovation of the Blue Beetle character, which is what the movie was based on that we talked about a few weeks ago. I've got some stuff here because he was supposed to appear at a con, and he had some great, or I don't want to say great, but he had some comments. Said, I'm not feeling well, told them I was sick, but anything to not go to New York Comic Con. Ha 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 ha. And then he died. So I guess he really didn't like New York Comic Con. But also he was a key figure, had a big run on Legion superheroes for DC in the 80s, which I didn't read, but a lot of the writers that I like and follow, a lot of them cite that run of Legion of Superheroes as like a big influence, you know, really super wacky, you know, right sense of humor, but also like elevated, like sci-fi, timey-wimey, you know, space opera kind of stakes as well. That guy really kind of mixed everything together. So I just wanted to shout him out at the top here.
Rest in peace.
Rest in peace, Keith Giffen. Your work will be missed, but also fondly remembered. And isn't that all what we want? Really, at the end of the day.
Much respect.
So going from somebody who retired non-voluntarily to somebody who's retiring again for maybe the fourth or fifth time in the last 2 years. Michael Caine has officially announced that he's retiring from acting.
What's his name? Sorry.
What's that?
What's his name?
My name is Michael Caine. I can't do it. You know what? I spent like 10 minutes yesterday trying to find it. I've never been good at like impressions or accents or anything like that. What you hear is what you get. I'm just stuck with this. I can't really manipulate it in any way. I did try to get some Michael Caine going on, but you did better than me. But it doesn't matter now because, you know, he's retired, so he's making way for the new Michael Caine, who I also can't do an impression of. But, you know, this dude is in his 90s. Like I said, he said a few times already that he was going to be retiring, and then he would do like another, you know, old Marigold Hotel movie or whatever the fuck it was.
Yeah.
Obviously, you know, a mainstay of Hollywood for almost as long as Hollywood's been a thing, really, you know, from the 50s, 60s, you know, Italian Job, you know, Jaws, The Revenge or whatever, the Killer Bees movie that we talked about a little while ago, you know, right up until like the Dark Knight trilogy. This is a guy who, you know, earned his name on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, assuming that he has one on there. But any fond memories of Michael Caine, George?
Yeah. Do you know what the film that actually always springs to mind is The Prestige?
I've never seen this movie.
No. Oh, right.
No, but I've read a lot about it, and I do not like what I read, George. So I don't know. Tell me more. Is he good?
I think it's good. Yeah. I've heard nothing but praise. What is it about it? I'm interested to know.
So, like, I'm kind of hot and cold on Nolan for a start. And then it's like a magician movie, but everything's like explained by science, but then also everything is like explained completely ridiculously. David Bowie's in it? Is David Bowie? Is he Tesla? Is that right?
Yeah, Tesla. Yeah.
And Christian Bale has a clone of him or a twin that he kills to do a magic act. So I've kind of just heard enough about this movie.
Yeah, if you've heard that much, then it probably wouldn't have the same effect. Like had heard very little. I just heard it's worth a look. Michael Caine, Christian Bale, David Bowie as
Hugh Jackman as well, is it?
Hugh Jackman, yeah.
Oh, by the way, spoilers alert for The Prestige, everyone. Sorry, but you're in the same boat as me now. I think I'm in the minority of people who haven't seen that. It's a reasonably well-liked, well-known movie.
Yeah, Michael Caine though.
Michael Caine.
Yeah, he just seems like a presence that's always been there.
Always a presence,
But, yeah, fair play to him. I mean, like I say, fuck knows.
One of the longest. Like, you'd be hard pressed to find anyone who was doing high profile, like, I say blockbusters, but whatever, like, what was kind of the 60s equivalent of blockbusters, of like The Italian Job and stuff, who is still doing, high profile, top tier stuff now, and has done throughout most of the time in between, Jaws sequels or B movies notwithstanding.
No,
but good stuff. I like the B movie, by the way. I think that's great. I don't remember what it's called, but I remember liking I love a good creature feature, and I love my cocaine because it's not your cocaine, it's Michael Caine. Anyway, so that's all fun and games. But if you like fun and games, everyone, then maybe you like watching Marvel TV shows, or not watching Marvel TV shows because they're not coming out, because obviously, as we said, there are strikes going on. But also, talk about Daredevil, by the way. So you might remember, I don't know if you do, George, but there was a Daredevil series on Netflix, and it's pretty well liked, pretty respected. It's pretty good, and that was the end of it. Disney got all the rights back, and they're like, nah, they're ours now. And then they announced that we're bringing Daredevil back with the same actor in a new TV show called Daredevil Born Again, which is cool because that's the name of one of the famous comic book runs, which Daredevil has many, but also he's born again on Disney Plus, right? And this was going to be like an 18 episode series, which is a big deal for Marvel, because, or even just Disney Plus in general, because a lot of the stuff is like 6 or 8 episode, like mini series type stuff. But for Daredevil, like, no, we're going all out. We're kind of going back to like a more old school kind of model of TV production, longer season. And then the strike happened. They were about halfway through filming this thing. And during those strikes, head producer over at Marvel, Kevin Feige, I guess, had time to really look at all the dailies and all the footage that would be coming in. And he figured, with all the other, like, ups and downs that Marvel have had the last year or two, and like the critical and, fan response to a lot of this stuff, he's looked at this Daredevil footage, half a series. This is 9 episodes of a fucking high budget series. And he's looked at this and thought, nah, that's not it. So we are firing those writers. We are firing the showrunners, and we are bringing new people on, and we are starting the fuck again, which is pretty wild, for somebody who you would assume wants to save money, during a strike and everything else. And I'm like, no, we can throw 9 episodes in the bin. Did you watch the Netflix show, George? You familiar with Daredevil?
Yeah. While I'm not as familiar with the character, it was probably upon your recommendation, I would imagine, or someone close to us. I seem to.
It better be fucking me. You getting Daredevil recommendations from someone else? Where is he? I'm fucking fighting right now.
Yeah, speaking of fighting, that was the one thing that fucking stuck out, was that one crazy fucking fight scene in the apartment complex.
Yeah, they did the famous like one take or one shot corridor fight scene that they kind of borrowed from like Old Boy. A couple of other things have done it, and then it definitely became a mainstay of Daredevil. You know, known for its like dark, gritty violence. You know, which
it took me by surprise anyway.
Yeah, it's a good series. It's a really good series, and I'm assuming that they probably want to get more to that. From what I'm hearing, that this new Disney Plus version was going to be more like a lawyer-based procedural, and he wasn't going to be wearing the suit that much. It was going to be like a much different vibe. And imagine being those writers, right, for this show, and you're like, "Oh, great, the strike's over. Let's get back to work, everyone." Oh, wait. What do you mean? We were on strike, and now we're not, and we're ready to come back. Like we really believed in what we were doing, and we've been excited. You know, aside from the strikes, we've been excited to come back and get back to work. No, you're fired, mate. Sorry.
Rough.
That's brutal. You know, you come back off a strike and now you've got no job anyway. So I guess you might as well have still been on strike. But I'm glad you got what you wanted. And hopefully they find something else. And I don't think it was just like necessarily, oh, they're bad, it was bad. I just feel like they've just had the time to reevaluate and be like, you know, and look at everything else around it and just be like, yeah, we need to shift gears. And this has been the perfect opportunity to take that time to step back and maybe come at this again from a different angle. And hopefully it's great. I love all the actors that are in this. You know, I love the character. I'm definitely going to recommend you some more Daredevil and kill that other guy. And, you know, because we're in spooky season right now, but we'll get back to like some more light-hearted comic book stuff. Obviously, whether or not this will be light-hearted remains to be seen.
Yeah,
but we'll definitely be talking about some more Daredevil at some point.
Yeah, I'm interested to know if there's any more on like the criticism of why it was so panned. Was it too Disney, do you think, or was it just? I mean,
well,
up to
maybe. Apparently, he didn't even wear the suit for like the first 4 episodes, so they were really leaning into like this is like a law. You know, like a light-hearted law drama comedy kind of, you know, like an Ally McBeal, which is kind of what She-Hulk kind of presided itself upon. Was like, we're going for that Ally McBeal vibe with She-Hulk, and She-Hulk did not go down so well with majority of people. A lot of those people were like really toxic misogynist, but also I can see there is some valid criticism to be had about that show, which I liked more than most. But yeah, so I feel like, and you know, some of their movies haven't been hitting as hard this year, and you know, I feel like they're just like, you know, let's just wipe this stuff away. Let's maybe try to take a couple of steps back and get back more into like what was working when it was working, you know. So, you know, it sucks for the people involved. And it sucks for the actors who are like probably confused. They're like, well, we were doing this one thing, now we've got to do another thing. They probably will use some of that stuff. I don't imagine there's no way they're throwing 9 episodes in the bin. They'll probably rewrite it, and if there's stuff that they can transplant over, you know, they probably will, because well, why wouldn't you? So, you know, good luck to those people. Hope it works out. I want more Daredevil. I'm excited. I don't know if it's going to follow the Born Again storyline in the comics, but that was a pretty brutal and well liked. You know, it's a pretty good arc from the books. You know, people be dying, shit be getting very real, and maybe they'll be getting more to the core of that. But it's not just Marvel that are having drama and antics going on behind the scenes on the production of high profile stuff. Of course, over at DC, they've been, you know, chopping away at this Aquaman 2 for a while now. No water puns. I'm not doing it today, everyone, I swear. So So yeah, this article comes out on Variety, and for those of you who don't know, Amber Heard was in the first Aquaman as his bride-to-be, Mera, I guess, and she's also in the second one. Not that you'd know from watching the trailer, because there's like one shot, and you can count it. There's one shot in that trailer of Amber Heard, who obviously had an ongoing court case, and public. It was brutal, and I don't really want to get into all of that angle of it, because a marriage is, and people's problems are people's problems, and when it's the problems of like people who don't really have a lot of problems, or really overly big grasp on what problems actually are, fuck those people. But also
stuff,
anyway. Like, fuck this, the media circus. We don't need to hear about all of that. But call it what it is. That stuff keeps, there's an audience for that stuff as much as there is an audience for like the movies, right? So of course, there's a whole economy built around that, with, especially in the UK, we've got the tabloids and, all of that kind of stuff. People eat this shit up. But so Amber, somebody, some fans, from what I understand, fans of Johnny Depp, this article is in Variety, by the way. So some fans of Johnny Depp have all pulled together and somehow filed for interviews and tapes and stuff to be released pertaining to all of this stuff. What is going on with the legal system, when you could just be like, well, I'm a fan of that person and not that person, and we're all just going to start a fucking GoFundMe and get the fucking court documents released? That's a problem. That's fucked up. That shouldn't be allowed to happen, but it did happen. And what was in those documents is Amber Heard having conversations with her therapist, confidential, apparently, or should be. Whatever. What a world we live in. Isn't it fun, everyone? But she said, or alleged, that Jason Momoa terrorized her on set. He was coming into set drunk, dressed as Johnny Depp, just to have a bit of a wind up. And yeah, it's ridiculous.
No way.
It's ridiculous. She said that like the directors and the studio executives all had it out for her. They were trying to get her kicked off the movie. There were stories back in when the first movie was coming out that there were people who were trying to like push her out. Apparently her ex-boyfriend, a little young man known as Elon Musk, right? Stepped in. Well, I didn't know about this part. Who apparently stepped in to say, you are not fucking firing this woman from this movie over some fucking fake bullshit. Which they apparently listened to Elon Musk, which I don't know if he would have the same pull now as he did back in 2017 or whatever it was. I mean, anyone who's not involved with making a movie shouldn't have any fucking pull anyway, but that's besides the point. So Amber Heard's ex-boyfriend, Elon Musk, is like, yeah, you're not doing that. So then she's on Aquaman 2. She's saying that they're bullying her on set. Jason Momoa is coming in, just trying to piss her off. To which Jason Momoa's representatives responded, he was not dressing up as Johnny Depp. Sure, he likes a beer on set from time to time, but that's just how he dresses. Now, if you have a look at Jason, if you look at him, like how he dresses in his sort of day-to-day life, it is very Johnny Depp. It's all fucking scarves and gloves and wavy, flowy fabrics and diagonal trilby hats and, that bohemian hipster bullshit that I can't pull off. So I'm not mad about it. But everyone, it's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous.
It is ridiculous.
But people saying like, this is insane. She's just attention seeking or whatever. Like just beating a dead horse. nobody's had anything nice to say about Amber Heard, both before this trial, during the trial, and now afterwards. And this, call it what it is, the whole debacle is like really, it's fucked her career like before it could really kind of get going. And I feel like she is, and a lot of people in this industry are, you know, kind of spoilt brat narcissists who are only concerned with like social climbing and, you know, boosting their points and their fame levels and all of this kind of stuff. So she's absolutely guilty of that, but so is everyone. You know what I mean? So it's like, just because, you know, she's a hot woman who was married to a, you know, very, very high profile dude who a lot of fans and women and people still like to, you know, stand by us, to the point where they even want to fucking drag up fucking therapy documents from court cases. They love him that much, even though you can go and read about all the stuff that he allegedly did or gets up to. And, you know, you talk about abusive, toxic personalities. He's probably, you know, in the royal family of that. But I just, if she's coming into work and she's like, he's coming in dressed up as my ex-husband just to fucking get a rise out of me, which he obviously is not doing that. I don't want to say obviously, but I don't think anyone in a right mind would think that he was doing that. I think that's a clear case of like, this is a woman who's got some kind of like post-traumatic stress from everything that she's dealt with. You know, people are making memes about this person. You know, people are saying the worst things about her. And, you know, some of it may be deserved, but also let's just take a step back, okay? We're not involved. And I don't want to say that I like her. I don't know her, obviously. You know, I've got a lovely bed here that he's shitting on. So Amber, you know, call me. But look, we make jokes of it. But there's obviously some serious shit here, and everyone's just dragging her through the mud. And I just think it really speaks to like a, you know, a higher, deeper issue of like ingrained, like toxic misogyny. Do you know what I mean? Like, just leave it alone, everyone. I don't know. Did you hear about? I'm guessing you didn't hear about any of this because the way you reacted.
Again, like it's shit like this, where I'm just like, this is a fucking soap opera playing out, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And
Absolutely.
I feel like to an extent they do have, like, they didn't have to fucking make any of this shit public. She tried. I mean, they both probably had to, I'm guessing, agree to, you know, have this stuff public knowledge to an extent. So it's
yeah,
not, you know, neither party you know,
I mean, mate, like a lot of people absolutely want to put this stuff, their own bullshit, they want to put it in the public because it keeps them in the public, right? Even like, even bad publicity is good publicity, right? But I don't think that's the case here, because these are just random fucking fans who are all joining into a little cabal and filing to have these documents released. So I don't, she wasn't putting this out there. Why would they? You know, it's ridiculous. It makes her sound ridiculous, which is probably the point. And yeah, I don't know. Again, toxic, abusive personalities, both of them allegedly probably are. But also, you know, when those people are going through like times of like emotional distress, maybe that's the time where they develop a new worldview. They kind of turn things around. They switch gears, change directions, or whatever. And we're just going to keep on, you know, drilling into them. It's a fucked up world we live in, George. We do live in a society, so it's that's all fun, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't know, man. Moving on. Let's talk a bit more about films.
Yeah, it's not normally the kind of stuff that we would talk about. I just kind of wanted to highlight this because I do feel like, you know, two wrongs don't make a right. Okay, yeah, these people are bad, but let's not keep fucking making it worse. You know what I mean, everyone? So
leave them to it.
Yeah, leave them to it. But you know, somebody likes to stir shit up from time to time. Old James Cameron, Jimmy C. Now, you sent me this article, George. So where did you come across this, and
actually,
what were your thoughts sending it to me?
This morning. One of those, you know.
You just like, Dean loves a bit of fucking drama. Let's give it to him.
Yeah, I can't even. Wait, I put the article.
I mean, look, it's a classic case. I'll summarise if you want. It's a classic case of a big name director coming out saying IP and Hollywood remakes and this and that is ruining the integrity of cinema. You know, the integrity of the industry that made such things as like Porky's. You know, the real high class fucking institutional, you know, mainstay that is Hollywood. You know, and because some people want to go and see, you know, a battleship movie. Not many people did, but that's one of the ones that he lists in his thing. You know, they're taken away from the shine of the Hollywood, you know, glimmer or whatever. But also, Jimmy C, I'm going to call you Jimmy C. I hope you don't mind. You are the one who, on 2, maybe 3 occasions, publicly endorsed reboots of Terminator, which you then came out afterwards and said, nah, they basically, like, reading between lines, like, yeah, they paid me to say that, which, you know, it's the business and that's fine. You know, you got to promote, by the way, everyone like, share, subscribe to all of that stuff. Me and Jimmy C, we're just the same. That's how we're buddies, right? So, yeah, so maybe think a little bit more before you kind of come out and fucking throw stones at glass houses or whatever. Yeah. You know? I don't know. Do you feel like he's got a valid point, or?
I don't know. Like, I found it funny because I do remember when Battleship was like, you know, advertised to come out, and everyone was just like, "What the fuck is this?" and yeah, I'm pretty sure I had some feelings of just like, "Oh yeah, Hollywood, whatever." Film.
Yeah, sure. I mean, you go on.
Like, oh yeah, this era of films are, you know, shit, and there's nothing fucking sacred. They're remaking all this shit from our childhood and taking a shit on it, and nothing's as good as the original and all this. But
yeah, I mean, look, Battleship was battleship, right? There's no getting around that.
I never watched it. I never attempted to. So
I haven't seen it, but I've seen the reviews. I don't need to see it. All I needed to see, and I remember going on YouTube, like, I waited for the movie to have been out for a little while. It's like, all I need to see is Liam Neeson say the line. Because Liam Neeson is obviously in this movie. Rihanna was in this movie, by the way. Not that makes it better or worse. It's just a fun little fact that, you know, one day we're going to look back on history and just be like, Rihanna was in a Battleship movie? Anyway, so I went on YouTube just to watch the line because I knew it was going to be in there where Liam Neeson says, "You sunk my battleship." My Liam Neeson much better than my Michael Caine, by the way, apparently. But yeah, like, no, it is garbage. It's, you know, it's junk food for the brain, you know, but, you know, there's a place for everything. If somebody likes that, fine. You know, you want to go and just shovel popcorn down your neck and watch, you know, robots and aliens blow up boats or whatever it is, you know, they're going to make it. And if you're going to go and see it, you're going to go see it. And if you're not, you're not. That's fine. But, you know, there's enough room for everything. Do you know what I mean? So if you know, get off your high horse, James Cameron. And also, you know, these people, you know, these studios or whatever, they've got like a fucking factory production line of like things based on games and comics and toys, and they're just, you know, coming out one by one, you know, in a non-stop fucking way. But also, you James, you make like one movie every 10 years. So, you know, it's the complete other end of the spectrum. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, T2, yeah, undisputed classic, all right. But he also made Titanic, and I would argue that Titanic brought a deluge a tidal wave.
There it is! We're back on the water punch, everyone.
Of dramatic fucking romance bullshit that I could personally do without. But
okay, all right.
Everyone, and I'm not.
Two things I will hold against Titanic, and that is Pearl Harbor and Armageddon. I feel like both those movies were very much come from that, where it's like, oh, let's take like a thing like a big disaster scenario and let's shovel a schmaltzy love story in there. I really like Titanic, by the way, and I've been where you are, George. I've been the cynic of like, this is just one of those things that's just in pop culture. I'm like, I don't need this. But I tell you now, anytime that movie's on TV, and I don't watch a lot of TV, but maybe if I'm like, if I'm at somebody's house or in a hotel and you're flicking through, every time Titanic is on TV, I'm hooked. I can't help. It doesn't matter where it is in the movie. I'm watching the rest of that movie at that point. It doesn't matter if it's 5 minutes in or like 5 minutes to the end. It's very engaging. It's very well made. I will give you that, Jimmy. And, and it is they call it a 4-quadrant movie. There is something in that movie for everyone. You love period pieces, you got it. You love romance, you got it. You love, big spectacle, you got it. Special effects, practical effects, you love like groundbreaking, camera techniques and like set design, set building, green screen, like anything that you can think of that is like good about movies, and also maybe that is bad about movies, sure. But there's something in there for everyone. And I don't want to say this definitively, but maybe I think Titanic is better than Terminator 2. Maybe.
Quit the podcast.
No, that's it. No. I might be being a little bit I might be jumping the gun a little bit there.
There's a comedic.
But they are definitely comparable, I think, of like their impact on pop culture and filmmaking. Obviously, I like sci-fi and action and horror and all that kind of stuff, but I am much more of a Terminator 1 purist, and I I prefer that over Terminator 2 quite a bit. So, if I had to like make some kind of weird Sophie's choice, it'd be like, yeah, I'll take Terminator 1 and Titanic, and then just put me on a desert island and I'll be fine. Maybe Titanic, not what I want to be watching on a desert island, but we'll cross that bridge when we get to it.
Yeah, it was, to be honest, that was more of a, joke, like the cynical,
yeah.
I don't like, but generally I don't, we can all relate to a love story, or, at least most of us.
I can't. I hate everyone.
I hate everyone.
No, I don't. Love your mum.
No,
if you're watching, mum, sorry, got to throw this in there, a little update on the mum podcast.
Rain.
Debacle. So last week, she finally found the podcast. She said she's going to watch the podcast. I'm like, great. That's progress both for this show and also for, a middle-aged woman who doesn't understand how to fucking log into Facebook and do anything. Right, that's fine. So when last week's episode premieres, she messages me. She's like, I'm watching your show now. I'm like, that's great. You figured it out. You're supporting. You finally got there. I love that. So she says, I'm watching last week's episode. Fantastic. 3 days later, she messages me. Have you seen the new Exorcist film? Is it any good? Should I go and see it? You didn't watch the fucking show, Mum! You didn't watch the show! No, it's not good. Go and see it. I hope it ruins your life. Like I did. Anyway, I'm not mad. It's fine. I'm a grown man. I don't need that kind of fucking nurture and love and support because maybe I wouldn't be doing a lo-fi fucking podcast on a Monday night drinking fucking a brand of beer that I won't mention because I don't know. If you want me to mention it, fucking sponsor me. And then I'll fucking neck 20 of them while I cry about my mum. All right? Sorry, I'm completely derailed. But anything to finish up on the James Cameron Titanic before we move on?
No, maybe.
Okay.
No. I don't know. I think people should just keep their opinions to themselves. You know what I mean?
I mean, it's the social media age. Everyone has an opinion. Everyone can now share their opinion. And what does my opinion really mean if I'm not sharing it, I guess, is how people kind of feel these days. It's like, well, opinion, just opinion. It's yours. Have it. Hold it. You know, love it. Nurture it.
What are we doing here?
You don't have to share it, but we're going to share it. So it is just the age, I guess. So, you know, good will come with the bad because we can, you know, on one hand, we can like share and collaborate and discuss and discourse and break down and do all of this kind of stuff. But also it just means that everyone's fucking voice can be out there, even ours.
Yeah.
So is that good? Drop a comment. Let us know. So from one legendary JC to another legendary JC, and another a man that you might be more familiar with, and that is John Carpenter. Everybody, who had some comments about the Halloween movies and the Exorcist movies that we're getting, you know, inundated with lately. And this is fun stuff. So John Carpenter, if you're wondering, said, I did like what David did when he made those 3 Halloweens. I particularly love number 2. That was fabulous. I'm guessing, I haven't seen that one, by the way, but from what I understand, yeah, Halloween Kills, that's the one. Not to be confused with Halloween 2, which is also a sequel to, it doesn't matter, right? So from what I understand is that Halloween Kills, he kind of, because the first one I thought was very lacking. It not a lot happened. And in the second one, they're just like, we're just going to go balls to the wall. Mike Myers is just walking around and he's just murking fools for a lot of that movie. From what I understand, that doesn't make it great, but apparently they at least tried to give the fans some of what they wanted. Would you agree?
I actually kind of preferred the 2018 one to Kills. I didn't hate Kills, but like there was some pretty ridiculous shit in it.
Yeah.
But yeah, regardless, John Carpenter liked it.
He liked it, so I mean, but then, you know, that's a character that he created, and then somebody's just taken it with like modern filmmaking and just let them loose on like a small town of people, whatever it is. So, you know, daddy be proud to watch his boy, you know, murder people. So that's fine. I get it.
Yeah, he's also stated before that he just likes when a new Halloween film comes out because he just puts his hand out and he gets a check for it. So.
Well, yeah, he has said that as well. So he's just watching Halloween Kills, which did do okay at the box office, I think. I mean, the first one did decent.
Oh, yeah, we'll talk about that later. I've got.
Oh, will we now? Cool stuff, a little bit of sizzle. And then he said, I heard The Exorcist didn't really cut it. I don't understand how you can screw that up. Well, Johnny C,
there are many ways.
There are many ways, and I can't wait for you, George, to see Exorcist Believer, because I think we should do like a little spoiler, you know, just a short spoiler review whenever you do see that, because I want to talk about that. There's so much stuff.
Get to it before
no pressure. At some point, you know, when we've far removed from spooky season, and we'll just need that little fix. and you'll just pop it on Netflix or wherever it appears, and we'll have a little chat about it. It'll be fun because there's a lot of stuff that I didn't want to say because even though I didn't think it was very good, I want people to experience it the way that I experienced it.
Mm-hmm.
Not having a good time. I want you all to not have a good time. I just want to ruin everyone's day all night.
All to suffer as I have.
You can all suffer the body and the blood. Okay.
But yeah,
needless to say, he didn't care much for The Exorcist, but I don't understand his comment about like I don't understand how you can mess that up. That is the easiest thing to mess up. Something like Halloween is no disrespect, but that should on paper be a lot easier to get right. Do you know what I mean? Because it's just it's a dude in a town with a knife. People gonna want to see that. You start bringing in like supernatural and like existential and religious, iconography and all of that stuff. There's many more slippery slopes, but he's out of touch. He actually got to be in touch. He's just making his money. That's fine. He's earned the right to do that.
No, he's doing all right. I thought it said in the article that he hadn't actually seen it. He just heard from a person whose opinion he really trusted.
Oh yeah, he hasn't seen Exorcist Believer.
Basically,
yeah.
Which is basically what I've done with you, to be honest. But you're also saying that you want me to see it, and
I want everyone to see everything because
to suffer as we have.
It's just because even if the content is bad, it feeds into us, and then it makes hopefully good content. Do you know what I mean? So it's a little bit of the circle of life going on. So that's all well and good. He also said that he didn't really get Barbie, and that's fine, John Carpenter. I don't think Barbie was really meant for you.
John.
A little quick quote from that part because I didn't want to get into that whole thing.
Go on.
But he did say there's a whole patriarchy business in there, but I missed the whole point. It went over my head. It's like, of course you did. You're a fucking, you're an 80-year-old man. You're probably part of the problem, to be honest. We all are. That's fine.
I don't want to take it off derailed totally, but it's funny that you mentioned that because I caught a little panel from the H45. There was like a 45th anniversary Halloween convention, I'm guessing in California.
Yeah, I heard something about this. This may be where these quotes are coming from, maybe where he was at and they were interviewing him. I don't know.
Well, there's an actress called Nancy Loomis who was famously in the original film.
Not related to, is it Dr. Loomis?
Funny enough, yeah, odd, isn't it? Which is fucking also odd because there was an actress called something Debbie Voorhees who was in one of the Friday the 13th films.
Oh wow!
Yeah. Totally derailing, but yeah. Anyway, she made a point to point out that Deborah Hill, who famously co-wrote Halloween and was John Carpenter's wife for many years, she sadly passed away. She was like one of the first female producers and was, a big voice in the business, trying to open the door, get the foot in the door, get more women, more respect, and producing, directing roles within the industry. So, and she said it like, as she said it, she kind of like spoke over John Carpenter, but it was kind of funny. It was like, I don't want to call them geriatrics, but like they're up in their years. Like, I mean, no disrespect. Like
they're old, of course. We wouldn't have respect for them if they were young because they wouldn't have had these long careers. So we're allowed to say that you're old. That's fine,
regardless of age or fucking acolytes, whatever. They're there and they're like really having trouble like hearing. They were saying there's like an echo in the room and stuff, but it was just kind of comical because they're all just like, what what did you say? Like fucking.
That's not an echo, John. That's just the fucking ghost of Christmas past who's come to fucking tell you the error of your ways.
Apparently, he just smokes weed and plays computer games with his kids nowadays, or has been for.
That's great.
Years. Which, yeah, fair fucking play to him, man.
Who doesn't want to do that?
Yeah. But anyways, you know, he might be right, or
he might be.
I'll have to wait and see. Jury's out on that, but yeah. Where do we go from there?
I'll tell you where we go from here. So it's while we're staying on The Exorcist, they have confirmed that they're making the sequel, which is titled, now it's an official title, The Exorcist Deceiver. We're going to come back to that title in a moment because I got some stuff. David, as we suspected, as we said on previous episodes, David Gordon Green not expected to direct this.
No.
But Believer had a 30 million budget. It's been the general consensus across everywhere. It's just, this is, and I don't want to dissuade you from seeing this, but everyone hates it. Everyone hates it. Nobody likes this movie. But on a $30 million budget, it has already made like 45 million. So it's going to be okay. And you will be able to justify.
We're getting another one regardless.
Making the sequel. Yeah, I mean, this was locked in for a trilogy, right? They bought the rights, like specifically, they were like, we want to do a trilogy. I mean, who doesn't want to do a trilogy? I mean, somebody just fucking announced like a quadrilogy off the bat. Just fucking shake it up, or just say, oh, we're doing 2 and that's it, But anyway, everyone's making a trilogy and we're getting The Exorcist Deceiver. So they're obviously going with a theme here with the title, right? There's no plot details, nothing. The movie kind of, the Believer kind of does and doesn't set it up for a sequel, but you don't really need to set anything up, right? Because it's just somebody gets possessed. That's what you do, right? And then it's the characters around that. How do they deal with that? What do they go through in the process of understanding that? So we're doing Exorcist Believer, we're doing Exorcist Deceiver. So that got my brain thinking, what's the third one going to be called? So I've got a couple of ideas.
Blame on us.
Right. So what about The Exorcist Conceiver? Right. Maybe we're at a satanic orgy, somebody gets pregnant, shit hits the fan, we got a possessed baby on our hands. One idea. Okay, I've got a couple of these. You're welcome. Just
sure.
Bear with me.
Sounds interesting.
Exorcist Bereaver. Maybe somebody loses a loved one, and then they have to process their grief as well as like deal with maybe a possessed loved one coming back from the dead or whatever, get a little bit of that Evil Dead flavor in there. Or we could do The Exorcist Reliever. Okay, hear me out. This is set in a massage parlor.
Brilliant.
Or Exorcist Receiver, and it's an American football team.
Oh,
there you go. You went dirty. You were going to go dirty with that one, weren't you, George?
I definitely was just going to say.
You dirty boy. No,
he's working in a call center.
He's working in a call center. He's on a receiver, and now he's possessed. And you call up, and you need advice or information about a particular subject, and he just tells you to go and suck your mother's cocks in hell. Who knows?
What about the
anyway,
golden retriever? Sorry. Dog gets possessed.
I was literally going to say, I don't know if there's any others, but that's the one. I'm all about a possessed dog.
I like the first
Let's
one.
Let's do that. Yeah.
That
anyway.
Insane.
So, few ideas there for you. obviously Exorcist Deceiver could be about like a con man, you know, and then, you know, he goes to somebody's house to con them and then they get possessed. And now he's got to go through like this transformation of like, he wants to like screw this person over to now he's got to help this person. And now he's got to re-find his faith in humanity, himself, and religion. It's a whole cathartic 3-dimensional character experience. Anyway, there's not really much point to that. I just wanted to throw some ideas out there.
But yeah, either way, we're getting more Exorcist.
We are getting more Exorcist.
Who's taken over from David Gordon Green yet? No.
Nothing like that. Yeah, he had some bullshit about like, I don't not want to do this. I just want to kind of see where else my career can go. It's like, no, you fucking hate this. You're done. You kind of just fell into this horror thing, and it's kind of now like taken up like a decade of your life. And you know, something like as high profile as like The Exorcist, which is like generally considered to be like maybe one of the greatest horror movies of all time. I don't agree, but you could see where like the studios would like get, you know, right down your neck, and they want certain things, and maybe we get some of those certain things when you see the movie. We'll talk about it. But I was thinking, actually, just quickly before we go to a break, they've given this fucking guy every horror franchise, but the one they should have given him, Nightmare on Elm Street. He's a comedy guy. He's done like fantasy. He's done, you know, stuff with effects and like, and all of this kind of stuff. He's kind of like got, you know, his earlier films kind of more like a freneticness to them. It's too late now because he's done with the horror train. He's off this fucking ghost train. But
I don't know.
That would have been the one, right? But anyway, we're gonna go to a quick commercial break.
Great news, horror bag lovers!
Every recording as good as the first, or we'll give you a new tape. You can watch Scotch forever.
We record, not fade away.
Get down to your local video store. The best place to watch movies is your place. Rent a video now.
Call the live one-to-one girls now on 09066 66 and 6666.
So I kind of wanted to have this as a segment, and we've done this a couple of times. The celebrities who are popping off. Okay, they're saying things a little bit salty, a little bit shaky. You know, are they being serious? Are they not? You know, where do we stand on what these fucking, you know, Hollywood whack jobs are saying?
So
and this week is a very special, spooky pop-off. It not only does it pertain to some of the things that we've just been talking about before the break there, but this is a celebrity pop-off from beyond the grave. This is from William Friedkin. Okay. So William Friedkin is apparently friends with a writer and film critic who I don't know writers and film critics. What do I look like I read, right? But a guy called Ed Whitfield, and he posted this on Twitter and Facebook recently. And I'm just gonna read this. William Friedkin once said to me, Ed, I'm not going to try and do an impression of William Friedkin. He said, Ed, the guy who made those new Halloween sequels is about to make another one to my movie, The Exorcist. That's right. My signature film is about to be extended by the man who made Pineapple Express. Now, that sounds like shade, doesn't it? Even though he's just listing one of his movies, he's not really saying anything that's too shady.
No,
but you can feel the disdain. There's more though. There is absolutely more.
Continue.
I don't want to be around when that happens. he says, but if there is a spirit world and I could come back, I plan to possess David Gordon Green and make his life a living hell.
Oh, it's happening. It's fucking happening.
Wow.
It's happening.
Wow.
Man, Willie Friedkin is known for popping off, to be fair.
He does not give a fuck.
If you want to see something fun, again, like another fucking reason why I'm not in a rush to see The Believer. But yeah, he was known to,
no fucks.
Totally, didn't give a fuck. He would fly off. He didn't give a shit.
I don't give a flying fuck into a rolling donut.
Which is good.
Yeah, that's just fucking funny, man. Pineapple Express.
It's how it takes a skill to just state a fact and just have it read like an insult.
Yeah.
Like Pineapple Express it's not a bad movie. It's fine.
It's fun to me.
It's a fine movie. I don't love that.
Watching that film.
Yeah, I didn't love it as much as everyone else did, but I get it, and it's not like some low bar, like easy kind of crash comedy. There was some, there was clearly like some heart and some integrity put into that movie, and it's fine and good. James Franco, rather you weren't in it, but that's fine. We'll move on. But yeah, Willie Friedkin coming back from the grave to take more shots at people. I mean, and you want to talk about Exorcist the receiver is David Gordon Green on the receiving end of those burns. So that's fine. That is absolutely fine.
Amazing.
So while we are in the midst of spooky season, there's also another season right round the fucking corner, nipping you at your heels. He's coming out the chimney. He's coming to you at night. Okay, but it's not scary. It's happy, and that's Christmas. So, of course, every now and then, let's get a Christmas horror film and throw that into the mix. Right in between there, and see how it does. And I'm talking about It's a Wonderful Knife, which is not my favorite pun. I mean, everyone. Do we really have a favorite pun? They're all horrible. That's kind of the point. But to spend, millions of dollars, just what seems to be based on that, seems a little bit excessive. I'm not sure what's going on in this. We've got Justin Long, who's like, is he like a mayor, or he's got some sort of political candidate or something? I think he's a mayor.
I think, he's the mayor of town. So you want me to give a little synopsis? I've got it here.
Yes, please.
It's a Wonderful Knife is a horror comedy that combines the elements of It's a Wonderful Life and Scream.
Ooh, shocker.
It's a release on 10th of November. The film follows the story of Winnie, a young woman in a Christmas-obsessed town who blames herself for her best friend's death and wishes she had never existed. Yeah, that's it.
And then she gets to experience maybe what that wish would be like, and it's like an old flipperoo of what we got in It's a Wonderful Life. And Justin Long is in this. He's kind of like, is he doing like a Trump thing? He's got like this whole like greasy, puffy, kind of nasty vibe going on. And we reveal in the trailer, like pretty early on in the trailer, it's just like he's the killer, right? Which I thought was a weird choice.
I don't know if it's I feel like it could be a red herring sort of thing. It could.
I hope so.
Killers, I'm guessing from the Scream.
I hope so. I hope there's more to this. I hope this town is obsessed with Christmas, but maybe they're only obsessed with it because they're maybe trying to like get away from something else, some like deep-seated, sordid little secret that happened in this town, because you've got to have a town with a sordid secret in a horror movie. I loved, my favorite thing about this was that the killer wears white so he can fucking camouflage in the snow. I thought that was amazing. But
it's not great if you're covered in blood, but you know.
No, it doesn't work for long. But at least for the first initial kill, you are hidden and like this town's agenda, maybe. But I don't know. Did you like this? Did you feeling this?
I'm all for a Christmas fucking horror film. As terrible as some of them are,
Yeah.
We plan to talk about some slashers, and Black Christmas is like one of the classics. Bob Clark film, who incidentally he didn't make It's a Wonderful Life, did he? He made another Christmas film. Maybe it was just a Christmas story, which is strange. You go from making like a gnarly like slasher film or proto slasher film to making a film also about Christmas. But yeah, I'm down to check it out. I feel like I have to watch It's a Wonderful Life now, even though
I've never seen it either. Obviously, I know it's been memed, it's been parodied in like The Simpsons and like everything that you can think of. Like I basically know the story, but I don't think I've ever sat down and watched it. Black and white, But I'm kidding. I'm a classy man. I love my cinema. Okay, me and Jimmy C.
No, all I know about it is it's based around Christmas, and it's Father Karras's favorite film, as told in as he gets.
I'm interested to see kind of the battle between this, and then you've got Thanksgiving as well, and these look pretty kind of similar in like tone and intent.
If I'm honest, there's not much else next month. Other than these I would.
Yeah. So, man's got to get his blood fixed. You know what I mean? So, and not just from undercooked turkey, you know what I'm saying? So he's got to go out in the cold just to see some of that fucking nastiness that he craves so much in his life. That's why he came to me and started this podcast. When he's just like, Dean, I love horror. There's not enough actual horror in my life. I want to see you once a week, and that will get me a little bit closer to where I want to be. And now you've got Thanksgiving, and you've got fucking It's a Wonderful Knife to give you that little feel there. However, we're running out of ideas here, George, for Christmas-themed horror movies. Where else can we go? It's a Wonderful Knife, not a great pun. So I thought I'd take the liberty. I've got another little list for you.
Go on, let's have it.
So
I like these.
Here's some ideas. Studio executives, if you're listening and you're looking for the next big thing, I haven't written the treatments, but I've got the names and I'm ready to give them to you right now. So
protected.
Maybe a couple of these might have been done before. I'm not an encyclopedia on bad Christmas themed horror movies. Okay. So we're going to start with an easy one. Fright Christmas. I don't have plots for these, Joe. I've just got titles, mate. That's all I've got. So don't fucking look at me like that. All right. You mentioned this one earlier, so I'm going to play on that. A Christmas Gory. Oh, there you go. Christmas Gory.
There you go. I mean,
okay.
I've gone. Carry on.
All right. You want the next one, or you got anything to say about a Christmas Gory?
Carry on.
Okay. Little kid didn't get what he wants for Christmas. Big glasses, and he's coming out and he's fucking cutting up the parents. There's some stuff that you could be doing there. There's some fun to be had. Okay. Number 3, Wreck the Halls. Okay, we're getting a little bit more meta now. Okay, I think this one's better than the last one. Home Alone in the Dark.
Doesn't scream Christmas at me, but
Home Alone is about as Christmas as it gets.
Yeah, but
I'm not one of these people who's like, it doesn't feel like Christmas until I've done this one thing. But Home Alone is the one Christmas staple that I do have.
I do like yeah. Anyway, you got any more?
Fucking get on board, George. Kevin McAllister will fuck you up. No, I do have more. Thanks for asking. Thanks for asking. Christmas slaycation.
I like that. Yeah.
Not bad, huh? Not bad. Okay, three more, and then we'll move on, I swear. All right. Miracle on Elm Street.
Oh, that has potential.
Oh, yeah, I feel that, huh? There we go.
Special.
Absolutely. Freddie needs to come back. If we're going to bring Freddie back, and it's not going to be like because we probably will, and it's probably going to be like a reboot, sequel, legacy, like what we're doing. But if you can get England back and you come in Nightmare on Elm Street with a Christmas theme, that's legit. I think that could actually be something. Okay.
That'll be fun.
Check this one. All right. Last two. A Meat Puppets Christmas Carol.
Right.
Huh? Yeah. Like a Muppets Christmas Carol? Meat Puppets Christmas Carol. Let's go. Carving up turkey. We're carving up Miss Piggy tonight. Let's go. All right. Never going to happen. It's fine. And one more. The Bipolar Express.
That will never get made.
I don't want to make fun or make light of any mental health problems.
Fun pun. Yeah.
But it's
done.
There you go. That's all I'm about. Okay. I'm not trying to get any deeper than that. But the Bipolar Express, CGI, Tom Hanks. We're on a train. We're trapped on a train, and something's not what you want it to be. That conductor, 1 minute he was really nice, next minute
he's a nutter.
He's asking for my fucking ticket, and he's about to punch mine. There you go. Okay, so thanks everyone for entertaining another. I've got to come up with a little name for these because I do love to do a little list. I do love to do a pop pitch, yeah. That's good stuff.
Nice.
But from pop pitch to pop picks, I guess. We'll see you in a minute.
I met this 6-year-old child with this blank, pale, emotionless face and the blackest eyes, the devil's eyes.
Kill her, Mommy. Kill her.
What do you want? To see what your insides look like.
Let's go. Happy Halloween. Happy Halloween.
All right, so we said we was going to talk about some slashers, and yeah, I got a few picks.
Let's have it.
I was going to go for a fucking whole history of the slashers, but I think most people know about Alfred Hitchcock and Psycho.
Heard of it.
Yeah, we got some stuff going through the 70s. Obviously, Texas Chainsaw Massacre. It's debated if it's a true slasher, whatever. It's
a slasher.
Yeah.
It's the same thing with the metal genres, man. People just want to fucking keep splitting them hairs until they're like nothing left. It's a slasher. He's got blades, no powers, no ghosts, blood. That's all you need. Moving on.
And then there was Bob Clark's Black Christmas. Bob Clark.
Pop cut.
Black Christmas. some Christmas horror films.
Early performance from Margot Kidder in that one, right?
Yes.
From Superman, Lois Lane, Superman.
Yeah, you got John Saxon in there, who, funny enough,
Nightmare, right? He's the dad in Nightmare. Is that the guy?
Yeah, he ended up becoming a cop in like many a horror.
He's in From Dusk Till Dawn, right? He's on the news.
Yes.
At the beginning.
Yes. Yeah, a little cameo.
Mate, it's in there.
Yeah, I think Tarantino's a fan.
Probably kissed his feet.
He definitely wanted to.
No shame.
Yeah. Back to the slashers. So we had Black Christmas, which started to establish more of these sort of tropes. You had the phone call, the killer on the phone. And then we got John Carpenter's, seminal classic Halloween.
This is the real start. That's the real start. Sorry, just want to say Black Christmas ain't that good. Really.
I enjoy it. That's one of my Christmas. You got Home Alone, fucking Black Christmas.
Fair enough. But they're not too dissimilar actually, now that you think about it. But yeah, not a lot happens in Black Christmas. I like the voyeuristic kind of, like the handheld kind of vibe or whatever. But Halloween is where we really, the tropes are established, and now we're running or walking, as Michael Myers does.
Stalking.
Now he's stalking. That'll catch on.
Playing games with, decorating the house with his kills and whatnot. Yeah, so we had Halloween, and then we got Friday the 13th, and then 1980, the slasher boom commenced. That was it.
Here we go.
Yeah, so I happened to, I don't know what it is, some sketchy fucking synth, a guy in a mask with a knife.
Yeah, it's interesting because obviously, but the obviously like from the 70s, it was like supernatural, there was a lot of like religious kind of fear in especially like middle America kind of situation. And it's always interesting, exactly, which was kind of bled into the 80s and resurged with like the Dungeons and Dragons and all of that shit. But it's interesting how like the prominent like horror genre always kind of like has that reflection of kind of what's going on, and it went from like what scared of the devil to like scared of the bloke next door kind of situation, which is much more fucking scary to me anyway.
As it goes, anyway, the 80s, we got a lot of good and bad slashers, and this one company, 88 Films, started to put out this slasher classics collection.
He's a maniac.
Oh yeah, and Maniac is, basically what I'm getting at is I've got a few of these. I think they put out like 50, and I've got about 30. I'm not going to lie. I was going to do a 3-word review on all of them, but we ain't got all fucking night. Because it will turn it to more than 3 words, won't it? So
it'll escalate very quickly.
Yeah. So I just picked out 5, and I'll briefly, rattle them off. And obviously, Maniac, these in no particular order. Maniac is probably the best release out of all of these, to be honest.
Absolutely classic. Remade it with Elijah Wood, right, in like 2011. It was a while ago, but yeah.
It was in the last 10 years, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, probably around there.
But yeah, the original Joe Spinell, famous, New York character actor. He's in The Godfather and whatnot. So some classy picks, and then somehow this young lad, William Lustig, got a hold of him and convinced him to play a fucking psychomaniac, play the maniac,
the titular maniac,
indeed. And
the main maniac, if you will.
My main man.
The main maniac man.
The main man. Frank Zito. And this is a grimy, slimy gem of a slasher. Like, this is a performance to behold. Like, it's it's kind of like a character study of a maniac. And he's like a mummy's boy, and he has all sorts of delusions and just psycho outbursts, and he's on the prowl.
Yeah, so we can see already in that, like, they're taking elements. You've got your Psycho, you've got your Michael Myers, like all the influences are kind of all starting to come together, and it's become like a real like a cauldron of a genre. Do you know what I mean? And all the lines kind of start blurring at this point, I think.
Well, yeah, this is the start of like the boom, really. But this one stands out to me. Not only is like the best release out of this collection because it has a lot of it has a little documentary about Joe Spinell and features and stuff. But it's definitely worth noting. Someone synonymous with the slasher movement, Tom Savini, did the effects, and he even has a little role in this film where he gets his head blown up. Spoilers.
Is this one of his first roles that he started popping up and stuff?
No, he'd been doing some stuff with Romero already. By this point, he'd done Dawn of the Dead, and
of course.
Friday the 13th by now. Yeah, he would have. But yeah, there's some just classic Savini gore in there.
I love it.
The in-camera, effects, practical stuff. It's always good.
Remember the days.
Yeah. So there's Maniac. Can't recommend that enough. And then we got another one, another grimy one that also features some scenic, or not so scenic, some shots of 42nd Street, New York, back in the 80s when it was the den of scum and villainy and all-night movie porn theaters, and apparently it was a very sketchy place to hang out. But,
some might say obscenic, but
nice one. That's a band name there. There you go.
There you go. That's what I'm here for.
Another one. We all know Nightmare on Elm Street, of course, but there's another nightmare, or nightmares in a damaged brain.
Nightmares, not just one. Plural now. Yeah. Watch out, bitch. As Freddie would say.
It's funny enough that the tagline on the front says, "If you were terrified by Dawn of the Dead and Friday the 13th, you must see Nightmare." Which is funny as well because it also has a Tom Savini tie. I think he just worked as a consultant or something. Apparently, he disputed having any involvement on it, but apparently there's also photos of him on the set. I don't know.
Why would he dispute that? Is it like considered to be bad, or
it's not? Yeah, it's not. I'd say it's not the greatest. Again, it's similar to Maniac in the sense like it's about this deranged, child. He witnesses something quite obscene as a kid. Well, he basically he walks in on his dad getting spanked by a hooker and chops the head off.
That's not that bad.
He chops her head off. So
that's a bit of an overreaction. But again, you can see the Halloween influence. Again, we're starting to see all the wires crossed and everything, which is fun in its own right. But what way to overreact, man? Come on.
Your old man, he's when you're a kid, you don't understand the kinks.
What? Just don't. Yeah, but you don't need to be a serial killer. Like maybe just grow up and be a serial spanker, or you know what I mean. Just go around and just fucking punish the bad boys or whatever. No need to take it that far, man. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. Well, anyway, this is another, one in that same sort of vein. The boy grows up and
classic.
They let him loose because they're like, "Oh yeah, you're totally cured. You're not going to kill anyone. So off you go." And then
judicial system doesn't work, everyone.
Yeah, it doesn't. But yeah, it all goes from there. So I'll leave it at that. Nightmare on a Damaged Brain.
Nightmare on a Damaged Brain. Check that one out. And come back in the comments. Tell us what you think of these. By the way, just throwing that in there. You know, we always want to hear the feedback on the recommendations, especially George's recommendations. That they're always going to be the best.
I don't know about that.
Or the worst, but either way, you want to watch them. You know what I mean? That's what I'm saying.
I'm just saying that, yeah, these are the best of the bunch. If you're looking to get some, I don't know, if you're into physical collecting or whatnot. I'm sure there are other releases of these, but these are the only ones that are like, that are, to my knowledge, are domestically available. A lot of these were like, you know, video nasties back in the 80s and whatnot. So the only versions we would get would be like badly like cut VHS.
Yeah.
They got ported over to DVD. A lot of times were literally like VHS rips and whatnot, but these have actually been scanned, and you know, some of them are still pretty rough around the edges, but like, you know, they're probably.
I mean, I think if you're going to have a rough, but if you're going to have a rough version of a film, I feel like this is the genre that you want it in. Do you know what I mean? Like, it can add to the whole experience and to the vibe. You know, even like somebody like Rodriguez, you know, later on, like, still adds those little like burns and those little fuzzy outlines and all that kind of stuff. It's, you know, being shit is cool sometimes. That's why we do this podcast, everyone.
Yeah, it's the shittest podcast on the net.
Just crude and rude and lewd. That's what they want.
Underground, baby. Real underground.
Like Mario.
That's it. Down the fucking tube.
Mamma mia. Moving on.
No, I do have to note on that. Like, that is a classic argument, though, that you say about like people, like Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Everyone's like, no, I'd rather watch it on like a grainy old VHS. Which, I have that's how I watched it originally, taped off of fucking Channel 4. I think it was like the first time they ever aired it, like in the UK, like uncut or whatever. Like after all nonsense.
I always had bad experiences with VHS like recordings as a kid. You know, I was the kid, I'd be sitting there watching Ghostbusters 2 and halfway through it'd just turn into Never Ending Story. You know what I mean? So, you know, don't take it that far. Just a little bit of grain and you'll be on your way.
Yeah, that's it. Like, a lot of, you know, these people who do these transfers and stuff, like they will add in digital grain to try and make it, you know, look more.
It's weird how things come back around, you know, because those filmmakers early on were probably trying to get rid of the grain. They were like, oh, fuck, this is too grainy. Like, people aren't going to like this. And then just give it 10 years, 20 years, whatever, and the grain it'll come back into fashion. The grain will strike again. There you go.
Yeah, well, you know, people do occasionally still try to shoot on film, but I think it's just like such a fucking cost and like such a process to, you know, put it all together, like actually film. But, you know, I don't know.
Yeah, that's the way, man. Some of this stuff, like, it's more costly to make it look worse than it is to not make it look worse. Yeah. It's funny how that works out. The economy's fucked, isn't it, as society? Moving on.
Yeah, moving on. We got a supermarket slasher, Intruder. And this one has got some fun ties. You know, Sam Raimi performs in this. Ted Raimi's in it. Bruce Campbell. It was written and directed by Scott Spiegel, who was like part of their little.
I know that. Yeah, I've seen that name.
He wrote Evil Dead 2, and he was the producer of the Hostel series.
Did Raimi not write Evil Dead 2? That's interesting to me.
I'm sure they wrote it together.
Collaboration.
Yeah, but he was basically, as far as I know, he was like, you know, childhood friends, or, you know, with Raimi and their little crew. They used to run around making like Super 8 films before.
Is that the guy that they used to call Spaz? Is it Spaz? Or is that a guy from a different movie franchise? I might be mixing it up with somebody, but it don't matter. Yeah. Correct me in the comments.
Regardless, anyway, we've got Intruder's a much more like fun take. It's set in a supermarket. With some inventive little kills, and it's just funny to see Sam Raimi acting, hamming it up.
Yeah, because normally it's Ted Raimi's the one that gets thrown the cameos. You don't often see Sam Raimi really. I don't think he appeared in any of the Evil Deads or anything like that. As far as I'm aware,
He might have been a fake chimp at some point.
He did cameo in Spider-Man 2 though, so there you go.
Yeah. Yeah. He's just crazy about this store.
Loves it, mate.
Much more to say. Check
Fiend.
it out. Intruder 1989. And then we've got a couple more. This one's just it's a novel one. It's a bit of a slow burn, but it's got a little bit of a payoff, or at least I like to think so at the end. Hide and Go Shriek. There's can't really say there's anyone notable. I can't even remember who fucking.
With titles like that, you don't need notable actors. Come on.
Skip Skolnick.
Skip Skolnick.
Don't know much about his background, or even if it's a he. It might be a she.
Yeah, we don't know. We're just going to skip there and move along.
No, exactly. I'll give you a brief synopsis to this one. Funny enough, it has a tie to you got your supermarket, your grocery store, and then you got a department furniture store, which this kid's dad happens to own. So him and a bunch of babes, bunch of dudes and their girls decide to break in and stay in there for the night, because that would be cool, right?
How weird is that? You're like, babes,
sick idea.
My dad's got the sickest furniture store. That's where the babes want to be. Like, what? It's not, it's not a Rolls Royce dealership. Like, what the fuck are you doing? I got a sick ass antique furniture store. It's really rustic. It's really going to get your juices flowing. But we need to do what we need to do to get to the premise. So I don't mind it.
Find a different setting or environment as your,
Yeah, be creative. You can kill people anywhere. So just keep that in mind.
Yeah, exactly.
But don't.
Resourceful. It's what you have. Be it your dad's furniture store, or just for there's a bit of a reveal at the end. There's some red herring business going on, and even though there's not that many great inventive kills or anything like that, there's just a few comical moments. It's definitely one that would be better viewed with friends. Or bevies.
Yeah. Come on, babes. I got this sick ass movie about a furniture store. You want to come round mine tonight. Come on, let's go. Gonna reupholster some chairs.
Oh yeah. Grim. Excellent. 10-minute segment, he said.
Just 10 minutes. Just 10 minutes. Me and my babes in my furniture store. It's 10 minutes. That's all I need.
Anyway, so this leaves us to our last of the top 5 of the Slasher Classics collection. 1991's Popcorn. Popcorn on the Poproast.
There we go.
Yeah, this is a fun one too. It's kind of sets in some tropes that were later picked up. This came out in 91.
Mm-hmm.
And I hadn't heard of it until I heard someone talking about it being released.
Yeah. I know the name, but I don't know much else about it. But from what I understand, it's pretty meta. And like you say, it set the standard for, sort of the next, maybe 2 decades. Obviously this leads into this is before New Nightmare and Scream and a lot of that kind of, which really kind of pushed the boundary as far as the meta-ness, if that's a word.
Yeah. This sort of did it in a different way. It was not so much it was self-reflective of the horror genre as a whole, but it wasn't like self-referential, if you know what I mean. Like the characters, like in a slasher film or whatever. But yeah, it's a fun one. Like there's some really inventive stuff with the killer, and even though some of it's like a bit goofy, it's just like there's this. I gotta mention this one thing with the plot because it just made me think about critics and like the ultimate revenge for a director. I had to fucking make a note of it. So basically, yeah, it starts out. There's a girl. She's having some bad dreams. She wakes up. She makes a note of these dreams in a little dictaphone or whatever, and then she goes to. She's at film school, right? And a film school class. They're saying they're going to cut the budget or whatever. They might have to close up shop or some bullshit. So they're putting on an all-night horror-thon, and they're going to do it like in the style of old, like William Castle, like classic 50s, 60s B movies, and they're going to employ like these like gimmicks, like and there's these actual like in movies like were directed by this guy Alan Ormsby, and he made this one the Mosquito, and they call it like Projecto Vision. He's got this giant fucking mosquito that comes through above the audience, and of course that gets used as a murder implement at some point. And then you got the Stench, which is like odorama, and they just got like this fog with like stink bombs out. And then they got the Amazing Electrified Man, who uses shocker scope where they got the shock thing, you know, charges under people's seats.
Yeah. Before health and safety went mad and you couldn't do that stuff anymore.
Yeah, of course, I imagine. Heart attack or two.
I had a heart attack, 4 stars. Did the job. That's it. That's what you want.
Great review.
Roger and Ebert and Siskel and Ebert, thumbs up. You know, we got electrocuted. The thumbs were just stuck up because they were electrocuted so much. That's what happened.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, during this film, like they got like this guy who brings in this film memorabilia. He's a film memorabilia shop owner, and he brings in all these props and film prints. And he just so happens to have this print of this film called The Possessor, and you know, the protagonist is this girl who sees the film and she recognizes this evil character from the film in her dreams and stuff, and then she passes out, comes to, and a student professor fucking delivers this like beautiful bit of exposition, and he's saying that you know, basically gives it the scoop on the film and its director, this guy Lanyard Gates, who
that's a name,
and he just looks like a Charles Manson type, but in his goal, he was the head guru of this, you know, 1960s movie cult, and he's like, yeah, they used to drop acid and make these avant-garde movies, film each other staring into the camera, stuff like that. And then he said like he went to like screen one of his films, and then like it was so bad that the audience like laughed it off, you know, the stage or whatever. And in revenge, he made this film called The Possessor, and shot all of it except for the ending, like the last scene, which he planned to play out live in front of the audience. Well, he did play it out live by killing his family in front of the fucking audience, and then
can't do that every night.
Setting the theater, no, you certainly don't. Fucking setting the theater on fire and just like, you know, trapping everyone inside, and it all plays into the killer's motivations and whatnot. But yeah, I've said more than I need to. Definitely some, you know, fun reveals in there and some interesting effects, and yeah, like the meta thing is just, you know, they were on it. Yes, it's fun to see the evolution of that, like throughout the 90s. But yeah, it all came back around, and it's, you know, leads us to fucking, I guess. Oh no, there was a few others. Just to quickly fucking
roll them off.
Come out. You got The Burning. You got Madman. My Bloody Valentine.
Another one that got remade later on in the 2000s in 3D, no less, from the director of Drive Angry with Nicolas Cage.
Indeed.
And also Amber Heard was in that. So there you go. It's all tying in. There you go.
Little neat little bow.
Messy bow, but yeah, it's fine.
Yeah, moving on from that anyway. So, like, you got something a bit more modern for us to talk about.
Yeah, I definitely do. So let's move on. Let's get out of the Stone Age and into the real times. So, you know, a lot of these slashers, they definitely progressed and they evolved through the 80s. They kind of went from like those gritty exploitation films, and they kind of got a bit wilder and crazier as they went through. You know, didn't get a lot really in the 90s. Kind of horror kind of died down. I think that's a topic that might be worth looking into at some point, because I think that's interesting now that I think about it. Not a lot of horror in the 90s compared to the 80s and what came afterwards. But anyway, so two big franchises of those horror slasher, you know, accolades from the 80s there, and went away for a little bit. And they're like, how do we bring these back? Let's bring two of them back at the same time. I'm talking about 2003's Freddy versus Jason. I don't care how fucking trash you think this is. I don't care how fucking, you know, junk food for the brain, commercial, you know, in your face bullshit this is a good movie. I tell you now, right? It's got 43% on Rotten Tomatoes. Bullshit. Absolute bullshit. Not only it brings both of these characters back, obviously Freddy and Jason, pay attention, okay? So it doesn't compromise either of them at all. They both, you know, it has to kind of go through, you know, it's anything like where you're bringing two things together. Sometimes you really have to like jump through hoops to kind of get it there, you know what I mean? But I feel like these two came together so well, and I don't think this gets enough credit. This wasn't in a time where we wasn't used to seeing like, you know, big properties crossing over in movies in the way that we are now. So it's kind of ahead of its time in that sense.
Apparently, it was years in the making for this. They'd been talking about this apparently.
Yeah, because they set this up in what I don't know what number it was, but is it Jason Goes to Hell?
Yeah, number 9.
And there's a post-credit scene of the Freddy glove coming out through the thing there. So they had this idea for a while, and you know, this is probably a thing where like the people that were like, you know, kind of shepherding these two franchises were probably like rubbing shoulders, you know, kind of. This is probably a thing that started out as like a late night conversation, and it just fucking snowballed until it eventually became a thing. But I tell you now, like I say, I think this absolutely keeps the it stays true to both these characters. It keeps the integrity, the core of both of these characters. It's absolutely there. Neither one of them has to like lose what makes them special or what made them special before that point to kind of get there, because you've got this whole thing of like everyone's forgotten about Freddy and he can't manifest himself like into people's dreams, into the real world like he was used to be able to do. And so he then uses Jason as like a puppet to start killing people on Elm Street. And then as soon as people think that there's like a serial killer on Elm Street, everyone starts remembering Freddy again, right? So then it's the power that people remembering Freddy that then gives him the strength to come back. So I just thought that whole, like, you know, it's a better plot than what, you know, I think it gets credit for. I think that worked quite well. I think there's there's not a lot of stellar performances in this, but you know, let's call it what it is. How many of the victims in slasher movies are getting Oscars anyway? So that's on par with what we normally expect. I think there's you know, Robert Englund is absolutely, you know, he's delighted to come back to this. You can tell. and it's like he doesn't miss a beat. I think it's a different guy doing Jason than what you would not.
I think it was Kane Hodder, was it?
It's not Kane. It's not Kane Hodder. It's a oh damn it! I had this guy somewhere here, Ken Kersinger.
Right. Yeah.
And I can't remember the name of the other guy, but I know there was two guys that went in for the role for Jason on this one, and they the actors actually had like a little like agreement before they went to audition. They said, if you get it, I'll do the stunt doubling, and if I get it, you do the stunt doubling.
Right,
which I thought was kind of is a fun little like behind the scenes story. Kelly Rowland is in this. That's fine. Don't worry about it. You know, maybe there's a racial slur thrown in her direction, and she's the only black character in this movie. So, you know, but none of these things age particularly well. I'll tell you what does age well though.
Go
on. What's that?
Go on. Sorry.
Okay, I will go on. So I think this is in the early days of like CGI gore, and I think it's a lot better than what like a lot of like other stuff since then has been, and even like stuff now. Like we've talked recently about like how, you know, I think like even as recently as last week about how like fickle like CGI blood and stuff like that can be, and I think this movie really does some stuff, you know, that plays in.
Out of it.
They really use the tools that they have, both in terms of like the plot devices from in the universe and like, you know, the leveled up technology from what they had in, you know, the 80s or what have you. You know, we get to see Jason go full ham in like a fucking like a rave, like a cornfield rave or whatever it is.
Yeah,
and it's a great scene.
We were just coming out of the 90s, so I guess, you know, raves were
it's absolutely a thing, but it's of the time and it works. But we get to see both of these guys in their prime, both separately, and then obviously, you know, they do, as the title suggests, they fight. I mean, most of you people probably don't need this recommended. You might have seen this, you probably have seen this, or you've at least heard of it. But I don't think it gets enough credit. I think it's absolutely a valid, solid entry for both franchises. The ending is great. I'll touch on that a bit more in a moment before we finish up here, because maybe there is an alternate ending that didn't happen. But originally Jace, who is it? Jay and Silent Bob were going to be in this. They're not in this. They were. I think there was a rights issue with Miramax or whoever it was at the time, but they were going to be these two stoner characters that are in the movie were supposed to be Jay and Silent Bob. So if you're a Kevin Smith fan, you can go back and rewatch it and kind of put that in your mind and enjoy it in that way.
I feel like that's probably better, to be honest. As much as I like those characters,
it would have been. That would have been too much like crossover in one thing. It would have been like that one episode that we talked about of What We Do in the Shadows. It's like person. Like, you don't need it. It would have been fun. Like, it would be cool to go to an alternate timeline and watch this, but with Jason Mewes and Kevin Smith in there or whatever.
It was like more of a scary movie sort of thing.
It would have been much more like that, but I think this works as like, you know, horror movie. I think this works as like an almost like an action summer blockbuster. I think this works on that level as well. You know, but there is some genuine tension to be had. You know, a lot of these actors, we don't really know who they are, so you know, any one of them could go. There's one actor who's in this. I think we talked about him as well because he's appeared. He's that guy who was in the Leatherface movie, right? And he plays one of the main character. He's the guy in this who's in the Western Hills mental institution. He's the guy whose brother killed himself, and now he's in He's been straitjacketed because, and he gets his Freddy comes to him in the bathroom. He like wires his feet to the floor, and he's a you know the actor if you see him, but he's in the Leatherface movie, which I didn't mind. You didn't like it, that's fine. Most people didn't. What else can I say about this? I'd say 42% on Rotten Tomatoes. But it made like 116 million worldwide off of a 30 million budget, so that's pretty good. That's not bad. And you got any thoughts on this before I wrap this up?
I have lots of thoughts, but yeah, I'll try and keep brief. Initially, I did not like it, to be honest. The first time I saw it, I was like, this has been hyped for years. Upon rewatch, I've eased up on it, and the last time I watched it probably was earlier this year, and I was like, yeah, it's not that bad. Like, yeah, it's definitely more set in Freddy's domain, which makes sense, really, because
there's I suppose there's more of that. Because you need that stuff, right? Because you need him to kind of come into the dreams, and you need a lot of that supernatural stuff to kind of bring it all together. You do get like a Pamela cameo, I think, in there, a cameo, if you will.
Yeah, first time I saw it, I was like, that was one of the gripes. But then I was just like, well, what are you gonna do? I don't know.
I mean, Freddy, come on, man. Freddy going to Jason's dreams and pretending to be Pamela to manipulate him.
Yeah, pretty,
I think it's pretty. I think it's not like going to win any Oscars, but I thought it was a well contrived way to like bring everything, like both those different like laws together. So I thought that was pretty well handled.
Yeah. I've warmed up on it. I mean, I'll just briefly say it was Friday 13th last week, and for some reason I put fucking Jason X on, and I was just like, people fucking hate the fuck out of that, and I'm like,
I feel like there's
it's pretty bad. Talk about bad CGI. There's some rough stuff in there.
I think that movie has its fans. I think some people have kind of come out like in an ironic way for sure.
Yeah.
But there is definitely people who come round on that. I think this is absolutely better than Freddy. Was this before Freddy versus before Jason X, right? Jason X would have been like 2004 or 5 maybe, and this was 2003.
It's around the same time. Let me just.
Okay, but this is absolutely the better of the two movies for sure.
Yeah.
And this one, I'll tell you what, this one has that you if you don't love this, a good old fucking Il Nino soundtrack. Come on,
new metal to the fucking max. I just remembered,
it's got Il Nino is in this, Chimera is on this. I think there's a Slipknot song on Korn. All of that stuff. This is like the Queen of the Damned, but for the 2000s.
Yeah. It was 2001 Jason X, by the way. I think.
Oh, it was before. Oh wow. Yeah. Okay. That's fun. I might try and squeeze in a rewatch of that. Don't worry, I won't talk about it and bring it up again. But I might check out Jason X again at some point. And I think this works if you haven't seen either of them. If you I think most people generally have like a rough idea of like the general like outline of like what Freddy and what Jason is, but you don't need to have seen all of the movies or any of the movies to get this. But if you have, there's all those references and there's all that extra little stuff that, ties it together and kind of provides some of those Leonardo DiCaprio pointing moments, like the Elm Street, like the front door, like the red door and the Western Hills and like I said, the Pamela cameo, and all of that stuff.
I'm pretty sure they're the same writers actually that wrote Jason X and Freddy vs. Jason.
That makes sense.
Writers.
Correct. Yeah. There's one thing that could have made this movie even crazier, and it's the original ending that they did not do. Now, this was in the script of the movie. There is apparently, and I think we've spoken about this, like, not on the show, but there is, from what I understand, there is animatics and like storyboards of this scene that we're never going to see. So I'm going to give you a little spoiler in case anyone hasn't seen this movie. So if you haven't seen this movie, just mute for like 30 seconds. Okay. So at the end of this movie, we see Jason comes out of the water holding Freddy's head, and we think, oh, well, Jason won. Of course, Jason won. He's the big fucking Butch Mac Daddy of the two, right? And then Freddy gives a classic little wink to the camera because he's not dead, because he's Freddy, all right? The original ending was basically the same, but then just when Freddy winks and thinks that he's getting like the last laugh, chains come out of the water into Jason, and then Pinhead rises up and he wants to play a little game of flesh or whatever. What the thing that he says? What does he say? What does Pinhead say, George? You know, man of classic catchphrases, all these words.
Don't cry is a good waste of suffering, waste of good suffering.
Whatever, yeah. It's not I want to play a game, because that's the Jigsaw thing. Which we forgot to talk about, by the way. But yeah, so that would have been a really crazy ending. There would have been a sequel, but there was a rights mix up and a budget thing, and they couldn't get that happening. Hopefully that does happen, or maybe something like this can happen again. These things generally don't get received well. Alien versus Predator, not received well. Freddy versus Jason, not received well. What are you expecting when you go and see these things? You're fucking shitting all over it. You're ruining it for everyone else. I want to see fucking Chucky. I want Leatherface. Just fucking throw them all in the blender. Give me that shit, because I will eat that up. Interesting side note, apparently A24 own the rights to both Michael Myers and Halloween, and they've got Friday the 13th. So maybe there's something there that could happen down the line.
I was going to mention this. I literally just saw an article before recording about there being a Halloween series, which
there was a whole bidding rights thing, bidding war thing for the rights. From what I understand, there's a separation with the Halloween movie rights and the TV rights, but A24 have some of them, and they also have the Friday the 13th under their belt at this point. So there is some potential for stuff to happen there. And anything else to say about this movie?
Only that there was actually potentially talks of not only Pinhead being involved, wasn't there? There was also, they were trying to bring Ash Williams.
There is those. I've heard that rumor. I think the Pinhead stuff was like a lot closer to happening. That may have been something that maybe would have developed out of the sequel if they would have got there. We're not going to get that now. I think Bruce Campbell is probably done with that. But then he always says he's done with that. You never know. I would absolutely pay a lot of money to go and see like Ash, old man Ash, getting dragged out of fucking, Kmart or Walmart or whatever it is that he's worked. S-Mart? Is it S-Mart?
S-Mart.
Anyway, there we go. Got there in the end. I would, if they said that Ash was coming out of retirement one last time to fucking battle Freddy, Jason, and I would do, if I could, I would do Ash fights like the 80s slasher monsters. That would be like a dream. And it would probably be terrible, but I would so go and see that. Maybe it would get more than 42% on Rotten Tomatoes. I don't know. But yeah. Anyway, I think that's about it. Can't believe we forgot to talk about the Shaw thing. They killed him off. They shouldn't have killed him off. They regretted killing him off. You could see that when you watch the movie. Like, really? I mean, I know he's supposed to be dying, but like, you could have dragged that out a little bit longer. And I feel like I was a little bit harsh on Shaw last week. I've thought about it a bit more, and I feel like it's very consistent with the franchise, but also it does like try to elevate it in a different way. And if I was reviewing that again this week, I'd probably give it a 3 instead of a 2.5 or whatever I gave it last week. And I hope we see more of that moving forward. And I do think that Jigsaw is like, he's like the modern like Freddy. I think he's iconic because you can kind of get really from modern age.
Well, bringing it back to that, I mean, there were some more modern. I was going to say there's not been as many. We haven't had these iconic slasher iconic icons. Since the 80s, really, there's been very few. Like, I just name a few. Like Hatchet had the Victor Crowley, which is more of the like.
I think Gabriel from Malignant is absolutely right up there. I think that's a really, I won't go into the details, but I think that's a really creative one. I think that's a really effective one.
Yeah. Another one, Terrifier, Art the Clown. You haven't seen that, have you?
I haven't, no.
I highly recommend those. That's the closest thing, like in the spirit of, a very violent, bloody slasher.
This stuff, there is still room for this stuff. I think there is still places to be played with, and there is maybe hope.
Yeah, again, like I didn't get into the the gender politics and stuff of this stuff, but like there's
different genders.
I mean, there was literally a slasher out in the last couple of years called They Them.
Okay, that sounds fun.
It didn't fare too well. I would be interested to have a look at it to see what's going on there. But
I want to check that out for sure. Yeah,
look it up, man. I want one more before we get out of there, because we said there wasn't much in the 90s, but Popcorn, that's a great one.
I've heard of it, don't know nothing about it.
The less I say about it, the better. Just check it out.
Yeah,
Popcorn.
we will check that out. Anyway, if you've got any of these that you like, come back here, comment, let us know, tweet at us, Poproast Podcast, or comment on our Instagram or Facebook, whatever you feel like you want to do. Tell us what you thought of any of our recommendations. Recommend some stuff to us, because we don't know everything. We don't know shit. So we wouldn't even have this fucking show if it weren't for other people telling us what to say. I'm joking. We do have some original thought, but click like, click subscribe, share, do all of that stuff. Get the bell going on so you get notifications when the next one is coming out, because who knows when they're going to be. Is it going to be a Wednesday? Is it going to be a Thursday? Maybe it's a Monday. It could be Christmas come early. Who knows?
But we'll let you know if you get clicking.
We will let you know. And if you're following us, and you can find out. Be the first in line.
Annoying little fucking notifications that I get every day from YouTube.
Give him more notifications. Give me more notifications, and you'll get more notifications, and we can all notify in hell for eternity. Okay? So I've been George. He's been Dean. Flip it around, and we'll see you all next week, everyone. Are we getting out of here, George? Did I do that too early? Did I come too early? Did I go too early? We're coming and going. We don't know what we're talking about next week. Going to be more picks for you. Hopefully some more news. We'll see what's coming out of the theatres. Again, if you follow us at the socials, we'll give you a little bit of tease when we get closer to it. So until then, peace.
Peace. Goodbye. Goodbye.
John McClane at the airport. Yeah. Wait!